Hey, I'm just popping in with a quick word on dog nutrition. Tyra, I noticed you have been paying heed to some of the videos I've been putting up. You've been changing a few things. You initially were only feeding your dog twice a day. Then you switched to free feeding in an effort to try and fill out the blank spots that you are missing. And then after I stated how you were leaving raw chicken out all day, I see you've taken up the food and the water. You're not leaving it down anymore. No food, no water in that pen last time I looked. And you've been back in the kitchen preparing meals, which seems to be taking up a lot of your time. I get it. It takes a long time. But anything that's worth doing is worth putting effort into. You'll eventually get there. Eventually. But as of right now, you still have quite a bit to learn about raising dogs. With that said, this right here is Pedigree Dog Food. In my opinion, it's some of the worst dog food that you can buy. When buying food for your dog or for yourself, you should always look at the ingredients, and most important are the first four ingredients. The largest quantities of whatever they're putting in your food is going to be listed first. So let's take a look at Pedigree and think about a dog's physiology. These are the ingredients in Pedigree: ground whole grain corn, meat and bone meal, corn gluten meal, and animal fat. Those are the first few ingredients. Now, understanding exactly what this is: ground whole corn, ground whole grain corn. That's your first ingredient. It's a vegetable, and it's corn. Now, anybody who's ever eaten corn in their lives understands that the human body has problems digesting corn. It has a shell around it, and inside there's a little bit in the way of nutrients, a little bit, but not much. Corn tastes good. It's kind of sweet. It's kind of like pepper, though. It just goes in and then comes back out, adds some flavor, and then leaves your body. Your body doesn't even digest pepper. Pepper typically comes out the other side exactly the way it went in. Corn, when relating to a dog, is the same way. Now, when you think about a cow that eats nothing but vegetables, grains, and things like that, they have large, flat teeth, and they grind up what they eat. They sit there and they chew and they chew and they chew and they grind this stuff down to a paste. Then they swallow it. It goes into their stomach. Then they regurgitate it and they chew it some more, and then they swallow it again. Okay, they go through the digestive process on vegetable matter multiple times. Humans don't do this. Dogs don't do this. Dogs have sharp teeth. They don't grind down their food. They swallow it whole. They tear off a piece and they swallow it down. Dogs have a lot of trouble digesting corn. Basically, the corn that's the first ingredient in this food, it's just a filler. It's going to make their stomach swell up. They're going to feel full, but they're not going to get any nutrition out of it, or very little. The next ingredient is actually the most troubling: meat and bone meal. Now, that might not seem very specific to anyone listening to it. It's meat and bone ground up into a paste and then freeze dried into little pellets. Now, as far as meat, the dog food industry is not very specific, and they're not very picky on what type of meat goes into dog food. It could be horse, it could be sheep, It could be a euthanized cat that someone took to the vet. It could be a euthanized dog. It could be elephant. It could be a raccoon that was found on the side of the road that the trash man picked up and decided to sell to the dog food companies. This is actually a fact. Roadkill. If a big animal, small animal, whatever, is killed on the side of the road, the city will often take these animals to dog food companies to dispose of. It's ground up into a paste, heated, then freeze-dried, and turned into pellets and fed to your dog. Meat and bone meal. You never want to buy a dog food that doesn't specifically say what type of meat it is and where it came from. Looking a little deeper, you have corn gluten meal. Okay, this is more corn. And dogs tend to have allergies versus corn. Humans tend to have allergies versus this corn gluten meal. And finally, animal fat. The animal fat is to make the pellets, this kibble, smell appetizing to a dog. It's like candy. The fat smells good to a carnivore. It's like taking oatmeal and Brussels sprouts and putting syrup or chocolate sauce all over it. While a kid might not want to eat oatmeal or Brussels sprouts initially, if you dip it in chocolate sauce, pour chocolate all over it, it might seem a little more appetizing. They'll eat anything covered in chocolate sauce. But that's pedigree. Point I'm trying to get to here is you're feeding your dogs Diamond Puppy. It's an 8-pound bag for $10, fairly cheap. I get it. Money's tight. You got to do what you got to do. But you can find better if you just read the ingredients. The ingredients to Diamond are, here we go, chicken byproduct meal. It's the first ingredient. At least they're specifying it's from a chicken, so that's good. The next ingredient is whole grain ground corn. And we already spoke on corn. Your dog is not a cow. It is not supposed to be eating large amounts of corn. Corn is the second ingredient on this, which means it's the second most abundant source placed into your food. It's a filler. It's purely a filler just to make your dog feel full, but offers very little besides that. Then past that there's like a whole wheat grain, which again doesn't do much. It's a filler. And chicken fat. The chicken fat, again, is like pouring syrup on oatmeal or Brussels sprouts. It makes the dog think that it's delicious, but it could be rocks. It could be rocks covered in fat, and it'll eat it. So let's talk about this chicken byproduct meal. What is this? Well, first ingredient in this dog food is chicken byproduct meal, a dry rendered product of slaughterhouse waste. It's made from what's left of a slaughtered chicken after all of the choice cuts have been removed. Basically, in a slaughterhouse, when they're making your Purdue chicken and they take the chicken breasts and the chicken legs and the chicken feet and the gizzards and all that stuff that they're packaging out that people love to eat, whatever's left behind is what they feed to your dog. A stray bit of intestines, maybe the bowels, some feathers, the beak, some of the bones. They take all that stuff, they grind it up into a paste or powder, they drizzle chicken fat, which is the sludge that'll be all over the floor in the slaughterhouse. They drizzle that all over it. They boil it. They freeze dry it. And they turn it into little pellets. Sounds yummy, doesn't it? Just think of it. Slaughterhouse waste. Crap not fit for human consumption that they were going to throw away, but they're like, let's mix it with some corn and feed it to a dog. You got to do better, Tyra. You got to do better. This is not healthy for your dog. Not to mention, if you go even further and you look at all the other preservatives and stuff in there with names that I'm not even going to try to pronounce, these are your leading causes for cancer in dogs. All right? But before we get into those minuscule little things after the fact, let's just focus on the main ingredients. Once you get the main ingredients down to something halfway decent, then we can start worrying about the other stuff. Look for the first ingredient to be a meat from a source, whether that be fish, goat, cow, chicken, whatever. And then you want to see that it says a specific part. You want to see it says deboned chicken or deboned chicken breast or something like that. Just like when you eat food, you want to know where it came from. You order a steak, you want to know what kind of steak it's from. What part of the cow is it from? What type of steak are you getting? Is it the T-bone steak? Is it a sirloin? Is it a New York strip? What is it? It matters. Anyway, I'm not going to stick on that too tough. I am going to go to this audio from something recorded from your stream earlier today, and I can only ask one question with regards to this audio. What is wrong with you, Tyra? You should not own a dog. The way you're feeding it, the way you treat it, the purposes that you're raising it for, simply for breeding, it's inhumane. It's inhumane. I'm going to play this, and to those of you who are sensitive, I get it if you want to cut out after like the first few seconds. It's very difficult to listen to, but I got to put it out there. Tyra was playing his stream earlier today. His mic was open. You could hear his dogs whining in the background while he was doing whatever it was that he was doing. And this went on for 45 minutes or so. I'm only going to play small parts of it, but keep in mind, this went on for about 45 minutes. And they were aware because you can hear Donna in the back telling the dogs to shut up. And you could hear Tyra moving around in the back, tinkering around with something. With that, I'm just going to play the audio. It's about 7 minutes long. Like I said, if you want to cut out, you don't want to listen to it, by all means, I get it. And I may or may not interject here and there. Here it goes.
to number 3. So then let's go to 3. Wow, this video is way longer than I thought it was. It's very basically a short way to explain it. Just follow us, enter in item 8, any identifying information that fouler may find use. Do not include social security number. remember 47? Nah, I just overall pause, but I gotta take care of some business, business first. I'll catch y'all later. It's always something.
Tyra, you didn't even do as much or as little as go and see what's wrong with the dog. The dog sounds like it's in pain. It's definitely in distress. It's having trouble breathing from the sound of it. It probably had a piece of its body, maybe a claw or a foot stuck in that fence you have there. It could have been anything. You didn't go even and to check. Donna tells it to shut up and you guys carry on. That dog is in distress. You are a horrible dog owner, Tyra. Horrible. And you have one purpose in mind for this dog, and that's to get old enough to breed. And that's it. It's terrible. Don't worry. We're coming for that dog, Tyra. We are coming for that dog. That's it for now.